Everyone wears a mask to survive, not out of deceit, but out of fear of being hurt. From a young age, we learn to present ourselves in ways that help us gain acceptance. A person who seems overly kind may fear rejection. Someone who appears strong may be hiding deep vulnerability. Most people don't even realize they're hiding. Every deep soul needs a mask. But masks aren't perfect. The truth leaks out in a nervous glance, in silence, or in small moments of tension that reveal the real person underneath. What someone hates in others often reveals what they're trying to hide in themselves. This is the mechanism of projection. Instead of facing their own fears or pain, people criticize others as a form of self-defense. Someone who mocks arrogance may struggle with low self-worth. Someone obsessed with honesty might be hiding a difficult truth. To understand someone, don't just look at what they admire. Pay attention to what they criticize and ask why it matters so much to them. Truth doesn't lie in words, but in silence. People use language to avoid facing painful realities. When someone hesitates before answering, avoids deep topics, or gives short, rehearsed replies, it's not just discretion, it's fear. A glance away, a sudden change of subject, or an awkward pause can speak louder than 1,000 words. If you want to truly understand someone, listen not only to what they say, but to what they avoid saying. Excessive displays of virtue often hide deeper motives. When someone constantly corrects others, preaches morality, or seeks recognition for being good, it may not come from genuine integrity, but from a hidden desire to feel superior. True goodness doesn't need applause. It speaks quietly. So when someone loudly signals their values, don't just hear their words. Look for what might be hiding behind them. Often, moral posturing masks insecurity, not strength. People don't lie to deceive others first. They lie to themselves. Phrases like "I'm fine" or "I don't care" are often self-protections. Repeated so many times, they start to feel true. These self-deceptions aren't meant to harm, but to help someone function in a painful world. So when someone's story doesn't quite add up, it may not be manipulation, but a deeper denial they've lived with for years. Understanding this helps us read people with empathy, not judgment. Where someone feels the need to appear superior, they're often hiding deep insecurity. Constantly boasting, putting others down, or needing control isn't true confidence. It's overcompensation. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't compete or dominate. Behind the need to impress is often a hidden fear of being overlooked or not being enough. So when someone tries too hard to prove their worth, look deeper. You may find a wounded inner child seeking validation behind the image of strength. Most human behavior is driven by unconscious fear, not pure desire. When someone over-explains, dominates a conversation, or avoids it entirely, it's often rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, abandonment, failure, or being unloved. We rarely act just because we want to. We act to protect ourselves from loss. To truly understand someone, don't focus only on what they say they want. Ask, what are they afraid of losing? That's where the real motivation and hidden truth often lie. Excessive criticism is often a form of projection. When someone constantly judges others, they may be revealing parts of themselves they're unwilling to face. A person who mocks emotion might fear their own feelings. Someone who criticizes appearances may struggle with self-image. These judgments aren't really about others. They're reflections of internal conflict. Instead of focusing on the target of criticism, pay attention to why. Repeated criticisms are not just opinions. They're confessions of hidden pain and unresolved insecurities. False confidence often hides guilt. People who seem overly composed, always in control or excessively certain, may not be truly secure. They may be performing strength to cover up regret or shame. Leaders, teachers, even public figures can project confidence while silently trying to prove they're not the person they fear they once were. Real peace doesn't need to perform. So when someone appears too confident, don't feel intimidated. Instead, be curious about the inner struggle they might be trying to silence. Exaggeration is a sign of inner doubt. When someone says, "I don't care what anyone thinks," or "I'm always happy," it's rarely the full truth. It's the ego trying to silence insecurity. Extreme statements often point to imbalance, not strength. The louder someone tries to convince others, and themselves, the more likely they're trying to hide uncertainty. So when words sound too absolute or dramatic, don't take them at face value. Listen for what they're trying not to say. Exaggeration often reveals the truth they fear most. A strong desire for control often masks inner chaos. People who micromanage, resist change, or dominate others aren't always strong. They may feel unstable inside. When the inner world feels chaotic, some try to manage the outer world obsessively to feel safe. It's not about power, it's about fear. Instead of fearing controlling people, try to understand them. Their need to control everything isn't confidence. It's a sign they're terrified that if they let go, everything, including themselves, might fall apart. Loud performances often hide inner emptiness. In a world of curated images and constant self-promotion, many people perform not to express confidence, but to cover insecurity. The more someone seeks attention through drama, perfection, or validation, the more likely they fear they won't be loved as they truly are. True self-worth is quiet. It doesn't need to be seen to feel real. When someone's life looks like a constant show, it's not strength on display. It's often a silent cry for acceptance and a fear of being invisible. People don't speak from logic, they speak from pain. Behind every firm opinion or rational belief often lies an emotional wound. Someone who says, "Love is a lie," may not be stating a fact, but protecting themselves from heartbreak. People form beliefs to shield themselves from feelings they never want to experience again. Instead of asking what someone believes, ask why. What hurt are they avoiding? When you see this, arguments become less threatening, and people become easier to understand. With empathy rather than judgment. True character is revealed not in how we treat the powerful, but in how we respond to weakness. If someone mocks vulnerability or punishes mistakes harshly, it may reflect their own unresolved wounds. Perhaps they were never allowed to be weak themselves. Real strength shows in compassion, not control. The person who can sit with pain, offer kindness without needing to dominate, and forgive instead of judge, is someone who has already made peace within. How someone treats the powerless tells you who they truly are beneath the surface. The constant need for attention often comes from a deep fear of being forgotten. People who always seek to be seen, through loud behavior, dramatic stories, or attention-grabbing appearances, may not be confident, but rather afraid of being invisible. This need usually stems from childhood, when love felt conditional or absent. Instead of asking why someone is too much, ask what they fear will happen if they're not enough. Often, behind the desire to be noticed is a silent cry, "Please don't overlook me." People often attack those they secretly envy. When someone mocks, criticizes, or gossips about another's success, confidence, or freedom, it's not always hate. It's pain. It hurts to see someone embody a part of ourselves we've abandoned or believe we'll never become. Instead of admiration, we choose destruction. But envy is just unspoken desire, a hidden longing that says, I want that too, but I don't believe I can have it. Recognizing this in others and in ourselves transforms judgment into self-awareness and healing. People don't act from belief. They act from unresolved childhood patterns. A person who was ignored as a child may now interrupt constantly to be heard. Someone punished for showing emotion may grow up cold and detached. We think we're making rational choices, but often we're just reenacting old roles we were forced to play. To truly understand someone, don't just ask who they are now. Ask who they had to be to survive. Behind every adult behavior is a child still longing to feel seen, safe, and accepted. People reveal their deepest wounds not through words, but through patterns. Someone who always pulls away when things get close, who overworks to avoid silence, or flirts but never connects. These aren't random habits, they're confessions. Each repeated behavior quietly says, "This is how I protect myself," or "This is where I was hurt." If you learn to listen beyond words and observe these patterns with empathy, you stop judging and start understanding. People aren't hiding to deceive. They're hiding because they're scared of being seen and hurt again. When you learn to read people behind their masks, you don't just see them more clearly, you begin to understand yourself. What we judge in others often reflects what we carry within. The patterns we repeat are unhealed wounds from the past. Understanding others isn't about control, but about connection. When you recognize the fear behind anger, the wounded child behind the strength, you stop reacting and start understanding. In that moment, you don't choose power, you choose empathy. And that is where real transformation begins.